what you need is stability in terms of policy. And this is the reason why businesses are asking policymakers or government, let's have an indication of the policy direction in the next 3 to 5 years, so that you can plan your manufacturing, for example, you can plan your raw material procurement, you can plan if it's mining and so on. So these investors want to do that, and I like your point, because even in Kenya, if you look at the county governments, perhaps there are some proposals that they present that stifle trade within the country, because then if I'm moving a product from one county to another, then I have to pay this advertising fees and then those kind of things. So there is a challenge, and we agree with that. However, two things give me a bit of comfort. Number one is a national tax policy, and if you look at that national tax policy, it is actually calling on government to take a long-term view about tax proposals or even policies, and say, let us roll out this, let us look at the potential impact, and let us reevaluate. That's number one. Number two, I think if you look at our constitution, it talks about our international obligations, and I think this is where, for example, AFCFTA comes in. Right. And we are saying we want to plug into the international space and abide by our obligations. And if you look at, for example, even the way the rollout of AFCFTA, right, East Africa community, and particularly Kenya, was very, very much involved in coming up with what they're calling Category A items. Right. And you will see the reduction of duties up to 2030. Right. So as a country, I think we are on the right path in terms of policy perspective. We just need that little nudge to ensure that it's not inconsistent, because that really is a problem.
All right. I'm so curious, FCPA, if you would maybe indulge me. We know that the Finance Act 2023 will come to a conclusive decision in the courts very soon. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, Hibak, I'm a lawyer, and it's commenting on matters that are live before court. But I think it raises very fundamental issues, especially around public participation. Right. And the reason why that is so critical is because if you look at, we're talking about customs and international trade. If you look at the changes that came in Finance Act in 2024 around customs, East Africa Community Customs, right, there is a question about whether there was public participation. So it's very important that the Supreme Court guides us on what exactly is required in terms of public participation, right, so we are clear about that. But like you, right, I'm very curious to see the outcome of that.
And the curiosity will be quenched very soon. The other lawyer in the room, maybe if you could just tell us, Kigen, some of the things that FCPA has highlighted is the need to have a sort of stable working ground, so that people can get to explore and even export some of their goods. As the KNCCI, you have said that there is an information gap. What exactly are you doing to plug these gaps to ensure some of these things, when the policies are there, could be beneficial to the trader?
Thank you, Hibak. First, a little bit on the Finance Act of 20. Right. I think Job would agree with me that there's some very sinister items on excise which we would love for it to go away, right, which is bedeviling our manufacturers. But aside from that, before I go into that, Hibak, my colleague mentioned about the TFTA. Right. And the question that our members have been asking us is that this is the 4th year of operationalization, implementation of the AFCFTA. Right. 54 countries have signed it, 47 have ratified, but then we've come up with now the TFTA, which is a level above COMESA and EAC, but right, below AFCFTA. Right. So the question that has been raised is that, are we introducing an extra layer? I thought we were going straight to the continent, right, doing things.
Just jump into it. Absolutely. Very Gen Z.